Be sure to cleanse the world of all the demonic beasts. Then a message popped up saying, God of destruction, inherent ability of .. has killed the beast of disaster. 300 million God coins obtained. After that we see our protagonist is walking in the streets at night. Then another message popped up saying, the Tears of the Bountiful Abundance who supports Yu Ilshin has requested support. User Yu Ilshin may select any ability as a reward for reaching rank C of Merciful Redeemer. The cost of it will be paid for by Tears of the Bountiful Abundance. Then he says, well, then you're saying I can get an inherent ability for free. Right. If that's the case, the most expensive one. A message popped up saying, user Yu Ilshin has selected the following ability. Creation of Heaven and Earth. Transcendental Class. Category. Ability for only transcendental beings. Cost. 1000 quadrillions of God coins. Another message popped up saying user Yu Ilshin is not adequate to use the innate ability of Creation of Heaven and Earth. Then another message popped up saying, Creation of Heaven and Earth will be converted to one use of false Creation of Heaven and Earth, Yu Ilshin's status. Then a warning message popped up saying the world will partially change. After we see that Seong Miri is looking at the sky. Then all the other people are looking at the sky. Then we are shown that, there are 2 moons in the sky. It was our protagonist's ability which was responsible for this. No one knows that Yu Ilshin is responsible for this, not Yu Ilshin himself now about this because, he was drunk at the moment. Then we see that a naked man standing on the rooftop of a building. He says, you said the Lightning Empress. The name of the hunter that's bothering the guild leader's business. The other man standing between a lot of corpses says, that's correct. The naked man says, perfect, the time has finally come. Then other man asks, then how many people? The naked man says, don't you think the more, the better? Let's start with 2000 for now. Oh my lord, just wait a little longer. Your devoted follower will make sure that your will is fulfilled. We will bless the world with the will of God. After that we see that, this is the Houston, Exploration MTS-2, please report the situation on the second moon. Houston, this is Exploration Rocket MTS-2, approaching the orbit of the second moon is impossible. Then the rocket gets out of control. MTS-2, what is it? MTS-2 says, control of the ship is impossible. Control of the ship is impossible. The moment the second moon appeared one morning everyone must have been surprised. While nothing else is known aside from the fact that it shines a gold light at night and green light during the day. Experts are predicting that the gates and dungeons could explosively increase. Because of this, through a reporter's interview, the Korean Hunter Association will be working together with the government to respond to the second moon situation. After that we see that our protagonist is sitting and saying, my head hurts. Then Miri says, I'm back. He says 500 laps already. She says, yeah, sorry it took a bit longer than usual today. Now should we do planks? Oh planks. I see that the teacher prioritizes the core. He thinks, actually, I'll have to take a look at Miri's mental image again. She says start. He uses his blind god's eye ability on her. A message popped up saying, arriving at the mental image. He sees the tiger and says, it kind of got cuter. Then he uses his god's crushing forefinger to cut the chains. He says, still a lot left, but I think a lot of progress has been made. That guy isn't wary of me anymore either. Then the tiger licks his face. After that he says, now I'll have to see if Miri's power has been amplified. After that Miri says, I knew it. Teacher training methods are effective. He says well since a lot of people are watching, you should be careful. She says, thank you so much teacher. He thinks thank goodness the effects seem to be showing. After that the saintess sends a message to him saying, Yu Ilshin, will you give me a name? He thinks, she wants a name. Well I can't keep calling her saint, it would be good if she has one. Whitey is for dogs. Then he thinks of his manager saying to him, you have no sense in naming. He says right auntie since it's an ant. Auntie how's that? She gets really happy to hear her new name. Then all the other ants started asking for names as well. He says, how will I name this many, whatever, you're 1, 2, 3. When he gets home he says the home is best. Repairs are finished, time to rest now. Then his phone notification rings and he says, now what is it? A message popped up saying Saint and 100 followers of the Black Tribe, thanks to the silver bullet of Yu-Ilshan name and experience from hunting of disastrous demonic beasts, they have evolved. Type, Gayami. Specialities, cuties. He says, what is this? Evolution. The screen got more modern and clean. Because of the Gamyami's evolution, demonic beast summoned Crocoach Express get exchanged. Yu-Ilshan goes up to level 2. He says there were levels in this game. A message popped up saying, Civilization Revival, gets activated from the level up. Ant says, the forest is changing. Then the saint says, Yu-Ilshan. What kind of miracle will he bestow this time? He gets excited and says it looks decorated now. He says since I made training grounds and walls, these guys can train and defend properly. Then the saint says, did you see the incredible miracle of Yu-Ilshan? Let's worship the great Yu-Ilshan. Worship Yu-Ilshan, who feeds us, protect us and let us sleep. He says, these guys. Anyways, they are getting cuter as we go. The name Gayami tribe as well. Gayami means ant in old language, right? So these guys must evolve too. Interesting. Then next, what is that? Let's try. Then a message window appears saying, Warrior Tower. Base of the tower the Seeker of the Eternity is going through. Specialities, chance of survival, less than 0.0000001%. After that a message window appears saying, the Gayami tribe is in fear of the Warrior Tower. Our protagonist says, if the ants go in Eve out of curiosity. Then he says, I'll have to take down the wall and block the entrance. After that he warned the black ants, you guys, don't even think about going inside the tower out of curiosity. Then a black ant thinks, a tower only brave can attempt. If only I could get a little stronger. I can protect my friends. After that we see, the Emperor's castle. Is angry on the shaman who failed to kill the black ants and evil god. The shaman apologizes. But his majesty says the only apology is death. The shaman says, your majesty please have mercy. Then the emperor kills him. After that the emperor gets angry. Then we hear someone say, please hold your anger, your majesty. The emperor says you're back mystic. She says, yes, your majesty. I have finished carrying out the mission you ordered and have come back to you, your majesty. She says, your majesty you are someone that will soon be reborn from a demigod, into a true god. Please leave the work to me and get ready to climb as a god, the black tribe insects and their evil god. I will make them go extinct, I swear on my name Arachne. Are shown that, a mosquito is attacking a monster which is screaming in pain. After that Arachne says, bloodsucker Mosto. Mosto replies, welcome. Arachne gives order to Mosto that, make those evil god bastards pay for ticking the emperor off. Using the cursed needle of the ugly plague rider. Then Mosto says, alright, however, I have one request to make. After that we see that, our protagonist is spamming his keyboard. He thinks of his director saying, if you can't finish your work by the end of this week, you can forget about publishing your series since your contract will be terminated. He starts typing even faster and thinks, I can't let the contract get terminated. There is smoke coming out of his laptop. He says, I can do this. I just have to wrap it up now. After that, he checks his phone and says let's see, how are these guys doing? All the ants are sleeping in their houses. He says these guys are sleeping comfortably. Then he hears someone saying, muscle, muscle. He says, huh, what is that? We see, an ant is rolling over a huge boulder. Our protagonist gets shocked and says, whoa. Lifting a rock that's way bigger than its own body. This guy seems different. Then an status window opens up says, 1, Warrior of the Gayami tribe. Specialties, training hard to protect its kind. Our protagonist says, interesting I guess they got their own specialties after evolving. I feel like raising them now. Is there anything I can do? He gave a potion to one. The one says, what is this? This is a gift from Yu Ilshan. Yu Ilshan was watching over me. Thank you, Yu Ilshan. Yu Ilshan says, alright, then I'll get back to the grind. He started working on his novel again. After that we see, Mosto is standing outside of the apartment saying, that's the rumored evil god. The evil god that sent 3 of the 10 blades to their deaths. After that we see a flashback where, Arachne asking Mosto, what is your request, bloodsucker Mosto? Could I taste the blood of the evil god? I'm curious about the taste of that evil god's blood, hee hee. Arachne says, of course. His blood, along with the honor of slaying him, is all yours. Bloodsucker Mosto. Now we back to present. Mosto says Arachne, you didn't know that with the power from the evil god's blood that I'll get, I'll surpass the emperor and become a god. And you will also become mine. Then we see that our protagonist is so sleepy, he says, I have to finish and sleep a little more. Mosto thinks, haha, he looks like the densest god in the world. Some evil god he is. He can't even feel me approaching. Mosto bites our protagonist and says, a delicacy. Such a delicacy. Power is surging within me. It's incredible. With this power, I can. Our protagonist squashed the Mosto and said, ah, that stings. I'm wide awake now. His hand is filled with blood. He says, why are there mosquitoes during late fall? He shakes and says, it feel weird. He sneezed so hard that everything from nose came out. He go to washroom and says, I'll have to wash up. He sees the mirror and says, what is this, a mark on my forehead? He uses his ability on himself to see what this mark is. A message popped up saying, the stigma of ugly plague rider. The curse of chills is in effect. What is this? A curse that gives me a cold. I have to finish up. He is laying down on bed. Then a lot of messages popped up saying, the curse of fever is in effect, the curse of muscle pain is in effect, the curse of anemia is in effect. He checks the god's store to find an item which might be able to heal him. He sees an item called, holy item, he said. Is a famous doctor, right? Let's quickly buy it for now. A message popped up saying purchase complete. A quest has appeared. He screams, man, just give the medicine to me. I have to go to a hospital. Then someone is saying my name is Kim Taebyum. A warrior selected by the religious organization. Although it's a nameless emerging religion, it doesn't matter. I saw the god. No, to be exact, a miracle that God's avatar made happen. Thanks to that, I barely raised myself from G rank to C rank. Then we see a lot of people bowing in front of the disciple Johann. He says, the god needs plenty of sacrifices to descend into this rotten world. God's warrior, Kim Taebyum. For God, you'll be able to complete it without fearing death, right? That's all it takes for me. For God, for the cleansing of the world. Kim Taebyum says, I will complete this task. Today, I will lay down my life for the cleansing of this world. He has the same mark on his forehead as our protagonist. He is wearing a bomb jacket and says, that is my mission, and Johann's mission. We see that our protagonist is crawling his way into the hospital. A quest window shows up, saying, if you want to live, save 100 sick humans. Our protagonist says, 100 people. Why don't you tell me to just die now? After that we see, Kim Taebyum is holding a nurse hostage, while saying everyone, don't move and get down. If even one person moves, everyone dies. The girl is crying for help. After that, the lighting empress appears on the scene and says, let go of the nurse now. Kim Taebyum says, shut up Hunter. After that he looks towards our protagonist. Our protagonist says, what kind of situation is this? Kim Taebyum says to Yu Ilshan that, oh, brother, you got the mission from his as well. For him to send reinforcements. Hurry up and help me. Yu Ilshan thinks, a terrorist. After that lightning empress says what? He had an ally. She looks toward him and says, teacher, What are you doing here? Kim Taebyam asks him again for help. Our protagonist says, who me? Kim Taebyam asks Yu Ilshing, let's offer a sacrifice for the god of destruction's descent. Lightning Empress says, what are you even saying, Kim Taebyam? You thought wrong. That person is my teacher. Kim Taebyam says, what are you talking about? The skull on my forehead is our mark. I can feel a wicked aura emanating from him. Lightning Empress gets angry and says, what? Did you just call our teacher wicked? Do you want to die? Our protagonist says to Lightning Empress, I'm dying Lightning Empress. I need treatment. After that, Kim Taebyam says, go ahead and strike me. I'll just detonate these bombs. Then the Lightning Empress says, you cowardly villain. Kim Taebyam gets angry and says, you fool. How dare you try to prevent a sacrifice from being offered to the one who will purify this world? Do you not understand the great significance of that being? A message popped up saying, the subject's memory is being read. Another message popped up saying, success. You have successfully read the subject's memory. Kim Taebyam says, then, how about you join in on this great work that I'm doing? After that we see Kim Taebyam's memories. Someone is talking to Kim Taebyam saying, if possible you must kill the sacrifices, after they have experienced a great amount of fear. The god of destruction's descent requires a great number of sacrifices. Can you do it, Kim Taebyam? My warrior. Kim Taebyam replies, yes. My lord. Of course. Then we get back to the real world, where Kim Taebyam says, Lightning Empress. If someone like you can be sacrificed, then that being will be very pleased. Our protagonist thinks, wait. Won't I die if this keeps going? Kim Taebyam says, for the god of destruction. And he is about to press the button. Our protagonist says, I have to stop him. And uses his god's crushing forefinger on Kim Taebyam. And says to Lightning Empress, now. She replies, yes, teacher. Lightning Empress uses her lightning bolt on Kim Taebyam. He gets unconscious. She turns around and sees that our protagonist is also unconscious. Then our protagonist hears a monster's voice saying, this idiot, your time to die has come. Devil mark on his forehead starts to glow. After that a message popped up saying, the curse of necrosis has been activated. Then we see that someone is talking to Arachne saying, beautiful consort, just give me the order, and I will kill that evil god with my poison right now. Arachne replies, you won't have to meddle at all, Naba. Naba says, if the god of plague's curse doesn't work. Arachne replies, there's no need for any concern. The leader of this abominable plague is a very stubborn and greedy being. That person won't ever let anything they sink their teeth into go. After that we see that our protagonist is standing in the middle of the white mist cloud. Our protagonist says, I remember hearing a strange voice before the curse activated. But where exactly am I, and why am I here? He hears that voice again saying, a newborn god. Dare to stir me awake. I condemn you to eternal suffering and endless deaths. Then we see that there are 3 huge monsters are standing in front of our protagonist. Monster says, you will soon wallow in despair and beg me to kill you. I will serve you as food to my steeds. Our protagonist looks towards Monster and thinks, he's talking a bit too much. Then suddenly our protagonist's nightmare ability activates and eat them. After that he woke up, and a message popped up saying, congratulations. You have accomplished the quest. If you want to live, then save others, to an excess. Owner of Cheongnonggyong smiles upon you. There is a pill inside of our protagonist's mouth, he thinks was that a dream. Another message popped up saying, you have been gifted, medicinal elixir of Watuo. Lighting Empress says, I am glad you woke up, teacher. His body starts to glow, he says, my body's fully recovered. Is this the effect of the elixir? One more message popped up saying as an additional reward, a portion of that being's godly power is now flowing into you. Then our protagonist leaves the hospital and we see that the disciple Johan is watching our protagonist on camera. Disciple Johan says to guild leader, I'll give you 4 days, guild leader. 4 days to kill those hunters and bring that man to me. Guild leader says, what does disciple Johan want with that man? Disciple Johan replies, this is why insects like you haven't received the favor of the gods. Can you really not feel that man's value? Even when he's shining as bright as a sun while standing amongst lowly insects like you. I can see it. The favor of the gods is permeating from his body. After that we see that, our protagonist is back home and he says, the effect of the elixir of Hua Tuo is amazing, isn't it? Then a message popped up on his mobile saying Ilho is desperately requesting salvation from you Ilshan. We see that Ilho is on the ground. Our protagonist says, what's wrong? What happened? After that we see a flashback where Ilho is standing in front of tower thinking, I will emerge victorious in every trial within the warrior's tower. All to obtain the power that'll allow me to protect my tribe. Ilho opens the door of the tower and enters it. He hears a voice saying Challenger Ilho is now attempting a trial. Warrior's tower's first floor. Trial of talk. Condition to clear, climb the stairs and reach the second floor. The trial has begun. Ilho starts to climb the stairs, while thinking don't be scared Ilho. I leveled up with that drink you, Ilshan Nim gave me. I even switched my job to a soldier, and now I'm wearing the amazing armor. A giant boulder rolls down the stairs, squashing Ilho in the process. Our protagonist says, the ant, the one I trampled and killed for fun in the past. Did he suffer like this, too? Another message popped up saying in 10 seconds Ilho will have their life suspended. He says, what, no, for now let's get the blessing of the god growth. It does not work, he thinks what do I do? He says, now that I think about it. I received a reward from the owner of Cheongnagiam. Healing medicine low rank god ability. He uses his healing ability on Ilho. Ilho is now all healed up and standing. Yu Ilshan shouts at Ilho that, I told you not to enter the tower since it's dangerous. Ilho says, I'm sorry I wanted to protect my tribe. Our protagonist says it's dangerous here, so let's get out for now. Ilho tried to open the door but he was not able to. A message popped up saying, you cannot exit until you have cleared the 50th floor. Ilho starts crying and says what should I do? Yu Ilshan Nim. Then someone knocks on his apartment door. Our protagonist says, Ilho, drink that for now I'll be back soon. He opens the door, there is a big muscular man standing outside of his apartment. The man introduces himself, I am Department Head Kim Taemin, an exclusive scout of the Brilliance Guild. It's an honor to meet you. Our protagonist says I'm not a hunter, though. Kim Taemin says, you will be soon, do you have time for a quick chat? After that we see that Ilho's body is glowing after drinking some potions. Then a message popped up saying the Seeker of Eternity looks down fondly on Challenger Ilho who is walking the path of a true man. He gets fired up and says, let's try again. Once the giant boulder is rolling toward him. He punches the boulder with full force, boulder shatters to small pieces. He was shocked to see his own powers. Then a message popped up saying, Challenger Ilho has cleared the trial of rock. Challenger Ilho has received the blazing of rock as a reward for clearing the first floor of the warrior's tower. Challenger Ilho is attempting the second floor, trial of wink. Then another message popped up saying, Challenger Ilho has cleared the trial of wind. After that we see the Yu Ilshan is surprised to hear that his annual salary will be 300 million. Kim Taemin says, yes that's right. If this is to you liking, then how about we go to my guild right now so you can sign the contract. Our protagonist lost in his thought about 300 million. He uses appraisal skill on Kim Taemin by accident. How found out that he is a lackey of God of Destruction. Kim Taemin says, I'll say this now, you won't receive an offer like this one anywhere else. Our protagonist gets angry and thinks, what? Then was the 300 million just bait? Was that it? This damned bastard. I'm going curse him. Kim Taemin asks, is there a problem? Our protagonist says thinking about it, I'm actually quite busy right now. If you contact me later, then. Kim Taemin asks, are the conditions not to your liking? Our protagonist says, no, it is just to have a manuscript that I need to complete. Kim Taemin says, however, the guild master was quite earnest in his request to bring you with me, so if you have the time, I would be very grateful. Our protagonist says, if you say it like that, then I don't have a choice. But, my stomach is suddenly aching, could I quickly go to the toilet? Kim Taemin says, yes, go ahead, I'll wait for you here. Our protagonist goes to the bathroom and thinks, what kind of human is he? When I appraised him earlier, it definitely said that he was the lackey of the god of destruction, like the terror bomber from the hospital. He thinks, who should I call? The Hunter Association? The police? Kim Taemin punched through the wall of the bathroom, and says, who are you trying to call? Yu Ilshin Nim. Our protagonist gets scared. Kim Taemin says, I'll ask you again, teacher Yu. Who are you planning on calling? Yu Ilshin nervously says, about that I have an urgent call to make to a publisher. Kim Taemin says, ha, and punches Yu Ilshin. He says, I don't understand why I was called here. Other could have done this too. Since you don't seem to understand. Kim Taemin grabs Yu Ilshin from his neck, lift him and says, I'll take you with me after knocking you out. Kim Taemin says, it would have been better if you just listened to me. If you stay still, I'll send you to sleep for some time painlessly. As Yu Ilshin is about to faint, a message window popped up saying, a quest to save the next believer has been created. Save the Earth Branch's first member, Seong Midi from death. Quest reward, faith from Seong Miri plus 100. Yu Ilshin thinks about the quest and says, first, I need to do something about this guy. Shit. The gap in strength is too big. At this rate, I'm going to die first. I need strength. Ilho the ant says, the great and only God. I will give you my strength. Please succeed. A skill window appears saying, skill sharing added, Gayami clan Ilho. Ilho's shared skill, steel body. Yu Ilshin screams and says, shear, all his cloths rips to shred. He grows bigger and stronger. Kim Taemin thinks, now I'm certain he's someone the guild master is interested in. He takes of his coat and says, if this is the case, then there's no need to be jealous of the one who got that lightning person. I'm not sure if the matter with the lightning empress has already been dealt with, but I'm going to stop fooling around and quickly escort teacher Yu. Well, then shall we begin? Before he completes his sentence, Yu Ilshin jumps toward him ready to punch. Kim Taemin dodges it and says, that's a heavy punch. But he's not guarding, just throwing punches around recklessly. How disappointing. Yu Ilshin grabs his face and kicks him in the face. Kim Taemin falls to the ground unconscious. After that, Yu Ilshin tries to call Miri, but he was not able to. He says, this stupid game. Help me quickly. I need to find Miri. Then a message popped up saying, the believer management system of only God will now be implemented. A message popped up saying, finding the location of the believer, cost 1000 coins. Yu Ilshin says, I already have so many coins. Of course it's yes. Confirming Seong Miri's location and situation. Then we see that a man with a sword says, don't worry. It won't be painful. A message popped up saying, you have foreseen Seong Miri's disastrous fate. Those events have not yet happened, but they are soon destined to. Yu Ilshin thinks, it's the same as what happened in the past with the death demon. This means, Miri isn't dead yet. Another message popped up saying, will you change the destiny of mortals with the authority of God? He says, of course. Yes. He thinks about the man and his unique trait, sword fanatic. Then he says, a sword. I also have one. He grabs his demon knife and say, nice, let's go. In exchange for changing their destiny, 100,000 coins will be consumed. Then a yellow light comes out of his body. After that we see that Miri is laying on the ground covered in blood. And the sword demon is walking toward her. Miri says, why are you? I have no ill feelings towards you. Sword demon says, I'm just doing my job. After that we see that Yu Ilshin appears on the scene. Sword Demon says, just who on earth is he? Yu Ilshin says with an evil look on his face, I want to slice him. Sword Demon asks Yu Ilshin, are you on the same side as the lightning Empress? Yu Ilshin says, I want to cut. Sword Demon says, he wants to face me. With a mere fruit knife. Sword Demon jumps toward Yu Ilshin to cut him. He says even S-class hunters couldn't handle my blade. I'll compliment you if you manage to even dodge it. Yu Ilshin is standing there smiling without a scratch. Sword Demon says, did he just block my strike with a fruit knife? No. Calm down. It's my fault for underestimating my opponent. This time, my blade cuts stone like it's tofu. You'll never be able to block it. Yu Ilshin deflects his attack with ease. He is shocked to see that. The Sword Demon starts to attack him, while saying just where did this guy come from? Yu Ilshin blocks his attacks with ease. Sword Demon says, I've never heard of someone like him before. He looks like the Lightning Empress, teacher. Wait, does that mean he's unknown, the unofficial hunter managed by the government and the Hunter Association? If it's unknown, then it makes sense that I didn't recognize him. Sword Demon bring out a potion. He says I didn't have to use this. It'll take away from my lifespan, but I'll be able to end him with one attack. He drinks the potions. Then purple lightning starts to come out of his body. Sword Demon gets ready to attack Yu Ilshin and says, Teacher of the Lightning Empress, Hunter Unknown. Sword Demon attacks Yu Ilshin with his full strength. Yu Ilshin swings his knife towards the neck of the demon's sword. He barely dodges his attack and jumps him from behind, and attacks him again. The Sword Demon thinks it hit. It was a good duel, Unknown. His blade shattered, he got shocked and said, my blade broke. He is shocked to see him unharmed and says, no, he's fine after getting hit by that attack. After that Yu Ilshin start to swing his knife mindlessly. Then a blue aura nearly missed him. He thinks I'm going to die. He gets slashed all over his body. Then we see that Sword Demon is alive and says, I'm alive. Without a single injury. He thinks with that much power, he could have easily killed me. Why did he let me live? Sword Demon asked him, just who are you? Yu Ilshin replied I am, the Sword God. Sword Demon thinks, he's the god of swords. Then a message popped up saying steel body skill sharing time has expired. Returning to the useless body of Yu Ilshin. Yu Ilshin sees the Sword Demon and gets scared and says, hey. Fruit knife. Wake up. I said wake up. After that another message popped up saying Yu Ilshin's blade, the Sword God's thousand blade that cuts all, has turned into fruit knife due to lacking authority. Sword Demon bow down in front of Yu Ilshin and says, no, I lost dear Sword God. A message popped up saying Yu Ilshin's Sword God can now be evolved. The Sword Demon says, please give me the chance to witness more of the swordsmanship you just used, Sword God. I will lay down my life for you, Sword God. If you tell me to cut my stomach, I will. You can order me to do anything. Yu Ilshin thinks, this guy isn't in his right mind. He sees, toward Miri. The Sword Demon jumps near the Miri. The Sword Demon brings out a potion and feeds it to the Miri. Yu Ilshin asks him hey. Just what are you feeding her? The Sword Demon says I apologize for acting out, Sword God. A message popped up saying, you have successfully completed the follower redemption test. Seong Miri's faith has increased by 100, becoming 139. Yu Ilshin thinks, from damn insects to loudmouths from a guild I've never heard of before. How many times is it now? Just why can't people stop messing with me and the people around me? The Sword Demon says, the Lightning Empress will be okay once she reaches safety. Yu Ilshin says, but whose fault is it that she got hurt in the first place? The Sword Demon says, Sword God. Please cleanse my sin by cutting my stomach open. Yu Ilshin says, so what if he's a foer? He doesn't even seem sane. Yu Ilshin thinks, wait now that I think about it, this guy was hired from a place called the Sheen Guild, right? And he says hey, Mr. Sword Demon. You said you'd listen to anything I say, right? The sword demon says, of course, sword god. Yu Ilshan asks, sword demon, how strong are you? Sword demon says, there aren't even 10 people I won't be able to kill in this country. Then take care of the place called the Sheen Guild for me. The sword demon gets scared. Yu Ilshan says, what? You told me to order you anything, right? You can't do it. Sword demon bow down and says, if it's the order of the sword god, then I will gladly do it. Yu Ilshan thinks, an assassin hired by the enemies is expendable. He just had a message popped saying, the obedience of the fanatic. The conditions for activating the unique authority obtained has been fulfilled. The multiplying thumb of God per 100 coins. Do you want to activate this authority? He gets excited and he thinks about gold bar and coins. He says of course, yes. He runs back to his apartment and says, where did I hide my emergency money? He brings out his piggy bank. He has only 100 won. He says, anyways, the multiplying thumb of God. He waits for a little bit but nothing happens. After that a message popped up saying that, the multiplying thumb of God, cannot be used on physical objects. He gets angry and throws the coins and says, what the F, I thought my life was going to become easier, but I have no useful skills. Then the soundless nightmare says, get a hold of yourself and show us the dignity of a god. And the thousand blade that cuts all says, let's get rid of all those arrogant bastards. Yu Ilshan thinks, ah, that's right. I can't keep getting attacked like this. I should attack first. A first hit is a guaranteed win. He says, everyone, what should I do to become stronger? Bountiful Abundance says, build good and long-term karma. Soundless Nightmare says, it will take too long, so you should instead stack bad karma with massacres. The thousand blade that cuts all, agrees and says, while you're at it, learn to comfortably use the thousand blade. He thinks about what would be better. Alright, I've decided, I'll just do both. He opens the game and a message popped up saying welcome to God Maker. Another message popped up saying depending on you plays, you may become a good god, of an evil god. Then he thinks first, I'll use, the multiplying thumb of God, to multiplying thumb of God, to multiply my ants. He uses the multiplying thumb of God. He says, now destroy the enemy, my million soldiers. Then a message popped up saying, with God's authority, 1 million Ant Clan soldiers have started marching towards the Imperial Army. Duration, 24 hours. He gives the evil smile and says, Kahahaha, kill all the enemy soldiers. What's Auntie doing? God's healing ring finger. What? I'm surprised she can use my skill. Then a message popped up saying good karma stacks as the number of believer increase. He says, what's with this fanatic feeling? Isn't this a little dangerous? Anyways, thanks to Auntie, good karma is stacking automatically. His manager calls him and says, sir. Oh my gosh. Why isn't the manuscript arriving? Do you know how hard it was for me after the president wanted to cancel our contract immediately? I think I need to take a break for personal reasons. His manager says, you haven't even returned from hiatus, and you want a break. Are you crazy, human? He thinks, wait, what would happen if I used the multiplying thumb of God on myself? Would I get a clone? I have nothing to lose. After that he uses the multiplying thumb of God on himself. Then a red lighting appears beside him. His handsome version appears in front of him. The message popped up saying, the multiplying thumb of God. Duration, 6,666 seconds. He gets happy and says, it worked. Nice, a clone. From now on, I'll make the manuscript. His clone punches him on his face and says don't order me around you fucking retard. He punches him again and again on the face and insult him. RMC is sitting on the ground with the beat up face, and his clone says, PHEWWW, I feel a little refreshed now. His manager is still on the phone and say, sir. What was that sound? Do you think you can trick me? His clone picks up the phone and says to his manager get lost. Then his clone turns into a demon and says, equip cruel slaughter. He, shall we begin? His clone turns into smoke and go inside the game. After that we see that, a huge green monster is fighting blank ant army. There are some other big monster with him as well. One of the black ant army members says, they're so strong even though we have numbers, we can't go against them. Green monster laughs says, that was fun, black tribe. Then a red light appears in the sky. A red lighting hits the monster killing them in the process. RMC's demon clone appears on the scene and a message popped up saying due to the massacre, cruel slaughter has increased to rank C. One of the monsters says, is that the evil god we've heard about? After that a red ant appears in front of Arachne saying, cough. I'm sorry. All our soldiers who went on the offensive were annihilated. By one evil god. How does that make any sense? The red ant turned into dust while saying, you mustn't fight the evil god that looks like the devil. After that we see that and green ant is hearing everything from behind a wall. Arachne orders to summon the 10 swords and the great commander right now. Then green ant thinks Miss Arachne, please forgive me for not being able to say goodbye and leaving. I go overboard just this once. With these hands, I will give you the evil god's head. After that scene switches back to RMC's house, he suddenly wake up says, what happened? Then he remember himself being beaten up by his own clone. He says to think I didn't have enough people after me, for me to get beat up by my clone. A message popped up saying, Tears of the Bountiful Abundance, is asking you where your handsome clone went and to introduce him to them. He checks his phone and says, 121 missed calls. From who? I'm not expecting any calls. I also have messages too. Soundless Nightmare says, sir, we will terminate the contract. After that he gets a lot of good messages about the advancements in the game. After that he screams and says, ah. What's the point of all this now? What's the point if the game's going well? This damned game. He quickly sits on the chair in front of his laptop and says, I'll type it out real fast and send it. A message popped up saying, New Believer Rescue Quest Save the Fanatic Believer. Will you save the Fanatic Believer, Sword Demon? Rewards. Saving the Fanatic Believer, Sword Demon, will help your abilities bloom like flowers. He says really? I have work to do right now. Let's just ignore it. Ignore. Another message popped up saying let's get to know what the believers are thinking. The perspective of the Fanatic Believer, Sword Demon, will be now shown. After that we see that the Sword Demon is tied with chain, and women standing there saying, you really aren't talkative, huh? She grabs a wipe and says, why don't you spill it already? Her state's window appears, her name is Chiolmi. She grabs Sword Demon's head and says if you spill it now, I'll kill you painlessly. Our protagonist thinks, what the hell greater than? That scared me. Guild. Did he get captured while attacking the Sheen Guild? Huh, that's. After that we see that, there is a big muscular man standing behind the Sword Demon. Yu Ilshin says holy crap. There's one more super strong guy. His state's window appears, his name is Chioldu. A message popped up saying using you inherent authority, you approach the opponent's mind. It says, I was sold to the Dark House when I was young and was raised to be an assassin. After awakening my Tai Chi abilities, I carried out several assassination missions. I go to know Chiolmi and Chioldu, who were raised like me in the Sheen Guild. They naturally became my rivals. I couldn't have normal dreams of my future like others. I walked the path of becoming one with the sword in order to become stronger. At last my swordsmanship was as advanced as it could be. I had reached my goal. But is this the end? I'm ashamed. After that see that Chiolmi is asking Sword Demon, who ordered you to attack the Sheen Guild? Who could you betray us? Chioldu says, traitors get killed. Let's just end this. She says, what? Kill him. Priest Johann said he'd give us 100 million if we bring him alive because he wants to use him as a sacrifice. Chioldu says, I'll kill you too if you interrupt. She says, I won't. I just think it's a shame. Sword Demon thinks, I'm sorry Sword God. Yu Ilshin says, this is bad. I have to save him first. Share the skill the believer number 1, steel body. I need number 1's muscles. As Cheoldu is about to punch Sword Demon, Yu Ilshin appears on the scene and saves him. Cheoldu loudly say to Yu Ilshin, who are you, where did you come from? Yu Ilshin says, that doesn't matter right now. I'm a busy man, you see. After that he says, what if I use Seong Miri's lighting tactic skill while I'm in number 1 steel body state? He says, share the skill of believer Seong Miri, lighting tactic. He give an evil smile and says they'd all be wiped out in one hit, right? I'm such a genius. A message popped up saying skill limit reached. Status overload. He gets shocked by his own attack. Cheoldu says, are you mocking me right now? Cheoldu throw a powerful kick to Yu Ilshin's neck. As soon as his kick touches Yu Ilshin he get a big electric shock. A message popped up saying you have endured the overload with your steel body skill. Yu Ilshin thinks, I almost died. Cheoldu is laying on the ground unconscious. Cheolmi go near Cheoldu and says, wake up. Oppa. Yu Ilshin says, phew, I somehow took care of one of them. Cheolmi with anger says, you. How dare you? She uses a fire breath attack on Yu Ilshin. Yu Ilshin thinks, am I gonna die like this? A message popped up saying you have endured the flames using number 1 steel body skill. He thinks of it as a hot spring bath. What is this? It's really hot, but it feels good. She says, I defeated him. She sees him standing without a single injury and says, what? How did you? No way. He thinks I didn't know number 1 steel body skill was this strong. I'm glad I leveled him up a lot. She use another flame attack and say, I'll burn you to ashes for good. He deflects the attack and hit her with a karate chop on her neck. His steel body skill expires. He thinks, had it ended just a bit earlier, I would have turned to ashes. A message popped up saying Fanatic Believer Rescue Quest complete. Your abilities are blooming as a reward. He thinks, I wonder what the reward is. If my talent is blooming, then maybe I'll become a better writer. He waited a bit but nothing happened. He gets angry and says, what? Is that it? So, what bloomed? I'm an idiot for expecting something good. Sword God gets excited and says, Sword God. You've defeated the enemies with methods I've never even seen before. You're amazing. Yu Ilshin thinks, hey, don't look at me with those kinds of eyes. Where am I? I have to go home and work. Hey, Sword Demon. Sword Demon says, yes, oh Sword God. Just give me an order. Yu Ilshin say, no it's fine. I just wanna go home. Let's get out of here. Someone from the dark side of the room says, you're as amazing as I expected. Nice to meet you. Sword Demon says, be careful oh Sword God. Priest Johann says, that person is the cause of all this. Yu Ilshin turn to stone and think a pervert. Priest Johann says, it's an honor to meet you, Yu Ilshin. Yu Ilshin thinks, I've encountered a wild pervert. Yu Ilshin says, I have to be careful. Priest Johann says, brother. Yu Ilshin thinks, the wild pervert is coming this way. Priest Johann, I'm so thrilled that my whole body is shaking. I can't believe I've finally met a fellow apostle. Sword Demon stops Priest Johann and say, don't come any close to the Sword God. He hits Sword Demon in the face and say what a trivial insect. Sword Demon goes flying with a simple touch. Yu Ilshin thinks, I can't believe the Sword Demon who defeated the Lightning Empress was beaten by him that easily. Priest Johann asks Yu Ilshin, okay, who is that god that you follow? Whose apostle are you? He jumps toward Priest Johann to punch him while saying it's Bottle God. He uses skill sharing Lighting Strike. As he is about to hit Priest Johann the scene switches to Ant Battle where the Green about leave for the battle. Green Ant leaves and says, I'll go beat the believers of the evil god. Since the fewer the believers, the weaker he will be. The Green Ant reaches the Black Tribe. Green Ant cover in black lighting says, it's here. The Black Tribe village. Ant uses his poison skill and says the Black Tribe will be poisoned to death. Everyone is in black tribe is suffering and cannot breath due to the potion. The green ant, the power of the evil god will be weakened. After that we get back to the fight of Yu Ilshin with the priest Johann, where Yu Ilshin hit priest Johann in the face a strong punch. Priest Johann goes flying. Yu Ilshin thinks as expected the one who strikes first wins. Priest Johann stand up again in a zombie style. Yu Ilshin gets scared to see that. Yu Ilshin immediately hits him with a lighting strike. Priest Johann falls on the ground again but stand up again. Yu Ilshin thinks the skill of the Lightning Empress doesn't work on that bastard. Is it because this pervert isn't just a pervert but an immortal pervert? Priest Johann stanks up and with an evil smile says, "It's no use. No matter what attack you strike me with, it won't work since I come back alive again." Yu Ilshin thinks, the time for strong skills is already over, and I can't use my lighting strike skill as well. Even if I use it, that bastard will just come back to life again. Am I going to die in vain from this perverted bastard? Priest Johann says, "Do you amount to just this much, brother? You should hurry and entertain me more." Yu Ilshin says, "Damn it. I have to hurry and figure something out. Either way, I have to do something." He uses multiplying thumb of God on himself. He thinks, there's no way he'd do a team kill when there's an enemy, right? Priest Johann, brother. I can't believe you have an alter ego. As expected, you're cool. Yu Ilshin's clone looked toward him. Yu Ilshin gets scared, and thinks I was so scared last time. As I was giving him orders, he beat me up, so I should stay quiet. Clone says, "This is trouble." Yu Ilshin say, "Oh. Alter ego. Yeah, since you know this is trouble, do something, anything." Clone says, "Yeah, the Gyami tribe is in danger. Don't you know that when the believers die, all the power of a god disappears?" Priest Johann get angry and says, "You too, right now are you ignoring me?" He attacked them with purple energy balls. Clone dodges his by jumping and Yu Ilshin tries blocks them. Yu Ilshin get hit and falls to the ground. Yu Ilshin says, "If I die, what's the use of all this power and everything?" Clone says, "Yu Ilshin, burn that weak bastard." His clone goes inside the phone. Again. Priest Johann says, "Are you done with you petty tricks?" Yu Ilshin thinks, oh no, this time, he just disappeared as he wished. Priest Johann prepare the purple energy balls again. Yu Ilshin thinks, that damn thing. What does he mean by burning it? Then he suddenly remember that he has his own skills as well. God's condemning middle finger. Small size flame burns above his middle finger. He says it's a great size for lighting cigarettes. Priest Johann says, "Is this your last trick?" That's right. Let's draw this out with multiples. The multiplying thumb of God. Small flame balls have no effect on him. After that, Priest Johann says, "Brother, I'll have to stop playing around with you now." Yu Ilshin close his eye and says, "Is this the end? I got team killed like a dumbass by my alter ego. To think my end would come from a wild pervert. Sigh, my life." Priest Johann suddenly felt extreme pain. He says, "Why isn't my regeneration working? I should be invincible." A message popped up saying you were being consumed by the brutal Gehenna's firework. Yu Ilshin says, "What? It had this sort of function. Could you just please properly explain skills from now on?" Priest Johann get angry and ready to unleash a big attack. Yu Ilshin thinks that, because of the ridiculous skill. Yu Ilshin feels extreme pain in his body. He kneel down on the ground. After that, scene switches to Gyami tribe where the green ant is attacking the black ants while saying, the black tribe is being poisoned to death. And the evil god's strength will weaken. Blame the evil god that you serve her. The green ant suddenly feels something coming towards him and says, "What is this feeling?" It's clone that is flying at rapid speed toward the green ant. Green ant says, "The evil god of the ant tribe. Come, you heinous and wicked god. Your power will soon be reduced to nothing." Clone kills the green ant with a single punch. He sees that all the blank ant are lying on the ground. He thinks, are they dead? Back in the real work, Yu Ilshin is laying on the ground while saying, "It hurts so bad. I feel like every bone in my body is broken." A warning message popped up saying, "The number of believers is rapidly decreasing. Warning. If you lose a large amount of believers all at once, you will lose your power." He thinks the God Maker alarm is going off right now, too. Sigh, this honestly sucks. Another message popped up saying, "Do you wish to restore those believers with God's healing ring finger? 5,212,385 coins will be consumed in accordance with the number of believers." He says, "Wait, I never knew I was allowed to use God's healing ring finger on myself. If I can, then that's incredible. I'd be nothing short of invincible." He used God's healing ring finger on himself. A message popped up saying, "As you have used it on yourself, 10 million coins have been consumed." He says, "Wait, why is it 1,000 times more expensive than the number of believers? Whatever, I'm just glad I survived. You have obtained 5,212,385 white God coins in accordance with the number of lives saved. Oh, the best kind of payback." Priest Johann gets angry and create a new and big energy ball and says, "How are you still able stand?" Yu Ilshin immediately uses skill shearing strong. "This is how the tables turn, you perverted bastard." God's condemning middle finger. Priest Johann jumps backward to dodge the fireball. Priest Johann says, "You truly are an incredible disciple. How did I mistake you for a useless offering until now?" Yu Ilshin says, "You are finished now. Priest Johann, I will devote the 999 offerings I have. And you, an offering higher than any disciple grade, are my final piece." A message popped up saying, "Descent of the God of Destruction." What? Is this why he kidnapped the sword demon and targeted my? Priest Johann laughs and says, "Thank you for becoming my last offering." After that, suddenly roof cracked open and a lot of red lightning appear from the roof and a big eyeball as well. It is the God of Destruction himself. Yu Ilshin gets scared and says, "No. I have to stop him." He uses God's crushing forefinger on the God of Destruction. A message popped up saying the authority cannot be used on the God of Destruction. Priest Johann suddenly cough out blood and says, "This is different from what you promised." Priest Johann fell down to the ground. After that, the God Destruction attacks Yu Ilshin. He thinks, is this the end? After that, Yu Ilshin is unconscious and thinks, I had a dream. No. Was it an illusion? I was a strong and benevolent God, revered by all. While it's excessive right now. The great God who swallows mountains. Was the true name of the thousand blade that cuts all. The God of Destruction, betrayed by the abyss. Lost the maiden that the great God loved. And the world with her. All before he lost his own life. He was a God that sought peace. But now, he became the manifestation of revenge. After that, Yu Ilshin suddenly opens his eyes. He sees a huge sword in front of him. He hears someone saying, "Great God. Right. Let's do it together, your revenge." After that, scene switches back to where God of Destruction is coming out of the roof. Sword Demon gets scared to see the God Destruction and thinks, "What's I have to look after the black? But I can't even move a single finger. I've never felt such fear in my life." Yu Ilshin says, "Black Ghost." Sword Demon replies, "Black God." Yu Ilshin says, "Get you act straight and look closely at how I'll kill the god that pervert brought down." Sword Demon says, "So cool." Priest Johann is tied with snakes and saying, "I don't want this." God of Destruction says, "How can you say that you will also kill those who serve you?" Priest Johann says, "Please, have mercy." Yu Ilshin says, "Do you get it now?" After that, snakes suck the life out of Priest Johann. Yu Ilshin says, "The god you serve is nothing but a barbaric demon. Isn't that right, you demon?" Yu Ilshin says to God of Destruction, "What are you staring at?" Sword Demon think the eyes that crippled Johann with just a glance. He's not trembling at all in front of it. Yu Ilshin lifts his hand up and summons the shining sword. Yu Ilshin uses his ability called Ultra Blade. He thinks that, the thousand blade that cuts all is an ability that was gifted to me. Ultra blade is an ability that draws out the performance and inherent potential of a blade, then integrates the blade with its user. He sword get as big as a building. God of Destruction attacks Yu Ilshin. But Yu Ilshin dodged the attack, jumped and got ready to attack. He says Destruction F off. Back to your world. After that Yu Ilshin hits the God of Destruction with Ultra Blade. After that we see that the Wuhan SSI 12th District abandoned downtown area is destroyed. And Army and Hunter have arrived at the scene searching around. Hunter are thinking that it was a SSS rank crack. If it's that, then a monster strong enough to wipe out a country will come out. Also director of the Hunter Association arrive on the scene. His name is Heo Kangcheol. He says, it seems we'll have to implement the project into action. A Solider says to director, we have a survivor here. It's Priest Johann. Director says, he managed to cheat death in this tragedy. Director asks Priest Johann, Elder, can you tell us what exactly happened here? Priest Johann just start laugh and do not answer the director. Director says, take him to the ambulance for now. We see a flashback where destroys the God of Destruction in pieces. Someone says to Yu Ilshin, as you said you truly are, a god amongst gods. After that we see that a big dragon defeated by some hunter, and one female hunter is standing on dragon's head. One of the hunters says, as expected of Seong Mina. She killed it with simple mind control. Is that even possible? Someone asks her, are you really S rank? I know that the dragon race has an especially high resistance to mind abilities. To see it fall so quickly. She angrily says, whatever, just clean up the rest and hand over your return stone. He says, what? Where are you going? She says, I said hand it over. After that he throws the stone toward her and says, fine, fine. Don't wrinkle that pretty face of yours with a frown. This costs 100 million, do you really have to use it in this situation? Is there a problem somewhere? She says, stay out of it, if you don't want to die. I came because I heard there was a dragon but it was just a small fry. Shit, I've wasted my time. After that we see that 2 days later, Yu Ilshin receiving treatment by his niece. She asks him who is that scary adjusty over there. Yu Ilshin asks him, how did the thing I asked you to do go? I don't think you have the time to be sitting around in this room. Sword Demon says, ah. Cleaning up the remnants of the Shining Guild. There is no need for me to go out for that. Yu Ilshin thinks, what does that mean? S-rank Hunter Seong Mina and a specialized team from the Hunter Association have already launched a large-scale operation against them. You could practically say that the black market in Korea has fallen. Yu Ilshin says, Seong Mina. The Seong Mina who also does TV commercial modeling. He thinks, Seong Mina. Her name feels somewhat familiar. Ah Seong Miri. Now that I think about it, they could be siblings, with those names. No, their looks are completely different. That being said, is Miri okay? He asked his niece that, shall we go back to you mom now? Then a message popped up saying your godly achievements have finished calculating. Yu Ilshin has blocked the descent of a part of the God of Destruction 1 out of 100. The good deed score of Yu Ilshin has risen by 1 million. He says, oh, it went up a lot. By the God of Destruction, does it mean the eyeball monster that I blocked from descending upon Earth? You're telling me that was only 1 out of 100 parts of it. If it's that big, then how big was the Abyss Dragon? Another message popped up saying congratulations, Yu Ilshin. You have received the right to attempt the promotion quest through your divine achievements. He says, what? A promotion quest? Then a quest window appears saying, low rank good god promotion quest. 1. Gather a minimum of 1 billion believers. 2. Alternatively, gather 10 sapient beings of S rank or higher as you believers. Low rank evil god promotion quest. 1. Gather wicked deeds score by killing at least 1 billion sentient beings. 2. Alternatively, plunder the strength of 10 sapient beings of S rank or higher by killing them. Yu Ilshin, will you attempt the promotion quest? He thinks, good God. Evil God. Both. He screams and says it wants me to do both at the same time. This level of difficulty is just hell. I can just accept both quests. He thinks good and evil. Wouldn't it be genius to pit the stalkers on each side against each other? If I just use these guys properly, I'll be able to crack it. Am I a genius or what? He gets excited and says, you bastards. Fight each other to the death. After that he goes to the hospital to visit Miri. He knocks the door and says, Miri, are you there? She replies yes. Please come in. He thinks why is a patient's voice so loud? Inside the room she is doing push-ups on her thumbs. She gets excited and goes near Yu Ilshin and says, whoa. Are you here to visit me? How exciting. He says, why is an injured person acting like this? She says I got a bit bored just staying still. He reply, well, is your body alright? She says, yes, it's fine. I didn't even get any scars. Then suddenly a girl shout from behind the Yu Ilshin saying, are you crazy? She hits Miri on her back. Yu Ilshin thinks where did this girl suddenly appear from? The girl says, why are you taking off you bandages in front of a man? And she looks towards Yu Ilshin with an angry face and says, who are you? He gets scared. She grabs him from his shirt and says, what's your relationship with my younger sister? Who are you, for Miri to be acting like this? He thinks, younger sister. So it's Miri's Unnie. She doesn't seem like a normal person. She says, if you're trying to play around with my younger sister, I'll kill you. Miri shouts saying, what are you doing to teacher Ilshin? Her sister says, teacher. This guy. This sloppy beggar looking person is a teacher. You're saying this guy is a teacher at the Hunter Academy. Her tries to tell her the truth, but Miri stops him and says, no you can't tell her the truth. Yu Ilshin understands and says, you're right. I'm the physical education teacher at the academy. She says, physical education. If you're a teacher at the academy, you're definitely a current hunter, but I've never seen you before. What's you rank? No matter how I look at you, you don't seem like much. Miri says, our teacher Yu Ilshin is a really amazing person. He's someone that can way stronger than Unnie, so don't think you can treat him however you want. Miri's sister removes her hat and says, is that so? Seong Mina. The S-rank hunter celebrity who's said to be even more beautiful than other celebrities is Seong Miri's Unnie. Seong Mina says, so, you've lost all your fear, have you? Just because you made it to a rank, you have no respect anymore. Seong Mina uses her skill mind control on her sister. Say it again. Who's stronger than who? Obey yield. Miri says, I was wrong, Unnie. Mina says, what kind of hunter is this weak? Mina increases her power and says, kneel. She says, you just have to do what I tell you to do. He stands between Miri and Mina, you should calm down. And says, you might end up hurting the kid. She uses her powers on Yu Ilshin. He says, your voice is a lot louder than it looks. She says, you're not going to move. She uses her mind control skill on Yu Ilshin and says, move. Crumple. You beggar bastard. She is shocked to see that her mind control is not working on Yu Ilshin. He says, I do think I may have crossed the line here, but even so, isn't it better for siblings to settle problems by talking? Miri is impressed and says, wow, teacher. To think you could resist Unnie's mind control, her primary ability. He thinks, mind control. Right, Mina is a mental affinity hunter. Mina says, you what's your rank? He thinks I'm telling you that I'm G rank, why are you asking me something so embarrassing? She bowed down to Yu Ilshin, and says, I've caused an incident due to my own ignorance. Teacher Yu Ilshin, please look after Miri in the future as well. He startled and says, pardon. Yes, yes. What is this? What is this complete switch in demeanor? Mina say, Seong Miri, don't complain that the hospital food is gross, and eat that porridge since it was expensive. Miri reply, okay thanks, Unnie. Yu Ilshin thinks, looks like she, unexpectedly, takes quite good care of her younger sister. After her status window appears, saying her name is Seong Mina. Things to note, descendant of the god of destruction. Under the curse of the abyss. He thinks I should tell her this, right? She has a terrible temper, but she is Miri's Unnie, and even brought porridge for her. He asks her, Mina, I have something I'd like to ask you. Are you, by chance, hurt anywhere? Or under a curse? She says, a curse. Yu Ilshin says, I'm talking about the curse of the abyss. She gets really angry and says, how do you know that? He trembles in fear and says, I have a sensor skill, but if I've made some king of mistake. He thinks her moods are really hot and cold. She's suddenly using informal language again. She says with a happy, it's fine. He thinks, what the hell, she's so scary. Who is she, Janice? She says, let's see each other again soon, teacher Yu Ilshin. He says, yes. Let's do that. Mina leaves. Then Yu Ilshin thinks, the pressure of an S-rank hunter is no joke. If her mental affinity is already this great, I can't even imagine what her battle affinity must be like. The fact I have to convince people like her into becoming my believers is expected, it's hell. Seong Miri says, teacher. What are you thinking about? He thinks, I can't say I'm worried about the future of Earth, no, my future, actually. I'll just say, what I'd already planned to say. He says, Miri, do you mind if we go up to the roof for a moment? She says, that's fine, teacher. After that we see that, Yu Ilshin is standing in front of the tiger in Seong Miri's mind. He says, even if I use my ability, there's no change. He uses God's crushing forefinger again and again. But it do not work. He thinks I thought that, since I was lucky enough to grow after the last incident, it'd be a lot easier to do this, but it failed. If I can unlock this, Miri will be able to grow to S rank, why isn't it working? My strength is coming back now. Is it really this hard? I don't get it. Am I going about it the wrong way somehow? He says, Miri, can you stand over there for a second? She says, like this. Yu Ilshin says, let's concentrate on the seal, Ilshin. Focus all you neurons on this. She says, teacher, if you keep looking at me like that. He thinks, focus, like you're trying to thread a very fine needle. A message popped up in front of him. He say, what is this? Was this why it wouldn't be unsealed? She says, teacher, what does that mean? He say, Miri, do you know where Yu Unnie went? She says, sorry. Why? He says, looks like I'll have to have a very sincere discussion with your guardian, Miri. After that we see that, in middle of the ocean, where Apostle Johann is locked up. Johann thinks it's like the miracle of God that I heard of when I was losing hope in life. Everything was a lie, salvation, that was the only reason my mind and body were able to survive. I believed in God like a madman. That's just demonic. That's not what I wanted. However, he is different. The one and only God, the God of gods. This world will receive salvation thanks to him. Please forgive me. Allow this lowly and corrupt believer to follow the great and honorable Yu Ilshin. A message popped up in front of Johann saying, you have developed faith in Yu Ilshin. He gets happy and says, thank you, Yu Ilshin, for accepting this lost and sinful believer, thank you. After that suddenly a masked woman appears behind Johann saying, did you mention Yu Ilshin? Johann says, who are you? How did you get in here? Johann thinks, nobody should be able to enter this place unless they're at least S-class. I seems like the officer of the association have abandoned me. I've heard they've been quite envious of my abilities. I'm aware that I've killed quite a lot of people. Is this the decision they made to quell the public's opinion? Although I'm no longer an apostle of evil, I'm still quite able to kill you. Masked woman says, don't play with me. Looks like you haven't hit the abyss either. Well, regardless of that, I still can't forgive you for trying to kill my sister, Miri. After that we see that, Yu Ilshin is sitting on his chair in his apartment saying, looks like I never got the chance to meet Mina, why is she so busy? Well, I guess it's hard for a top celebrity to make time. Forget about that. Looks like the Sword Master finally went home. Yu Ilshin read Sword Master's letter and thinks, please don't come back. After that message popped up on his Godmaker app, he opens the Godmaker app saying Godmaker. What's going on? Message says, the human, Johann, has been converted to the order of